Good evening, and welcome to Doctorpiece Theater. My name is Dr. Dennis Business, and tonight we will continue our dive into This Is Why I Hate You. When we last left our hero, he had made his girlfriend dress up like an emo girl to show her devotion to him. Chapter 6, Exercise Before Exercise. Ashley and I have been together a while now. I didn't write about the first time we slept together, as I hadn't felt compelled to update my journal. It happened a few weeks ago, and since then, many of my views and feelings have been put into question. Being with her was pretty amazing, actually. She's repeatedly proven her loyalty to me, despite most better people's judgment. I've been very good to her for a while now. It's just most people see me as a freak. So why would she not follow suit? I have too many reasons to believe Ashley's interest in me has reached beyond all of my previous expectations. This is just another reminder of how little I know. The majority of my body and much of my mind is practically a carbon copy of most every other human who shares this planet with me. This growingly evident reality is part of why I'm writing in my journal less. The more I write, the more I realize how genetic and pointless my thoughts are. Sometimes the most intelligent thing you can do is acknowledge that you're an idiot. Ashley said she loved me the first time we slept together. We even stopped using a condom halfway through. I asked her, Ashley said she loved me the first time we slept together. We even stopped using a condom halfway through. I asked her if she wanted me to remove it. She nodded silently. Her decision was especially meaningful, as it was her first time being with anyone. I felt honored. She was willing to be with me. The relationship we have, it goes against what I previously thought of human relationships. I believed practically every single relationship was just a product of core programming. Maybe it still is, but I don't think that's how things really are in my case. I know I sound gullible, more than ever really, but this just feels so different. Just looking at the words I'm writing down makes me see what a fool I've been. All in all, I don't believe people would promote the drug of love if it weren't so intoxicating. Now I'm hooked. When Ashley and I are intimate with each other, it means something beyond what we're physically doing. We are losing ourselves in each other, pulling closer together as the world is simultaneously pushed away. We've been physical so many times now, when we part ways, it feels like she hasn't even left. I still feel her warmth, her shaved skin rubbing against mine, her fluids engulfing me as I thrust into her. She's making me feel more human than I thought I ever would. It was so strange. We wound up going all the way only after a few hours when my dad had left for the night. He was attending some church gathering, probably an orgy judging by what hypocrites and whack jobs most religious people are. But that's off topic. I told Ashley to come over shortly after he left, and she did. She knew we were going to go all the way. It was more than implied on both ends. When she got to my house, she was in her tracksuit with the school logo on it. I'm not sure if you could possibly wear a more dorky outfit to see your boyfriend. But that's just Ashley. She kept expressing how excited she was that we were going to do stuff together. In fact, she was so hyperactive, she said she had to, and I quote, run around the house a few times before we continued. I felt like she was being really weird. Why would you need to exhaust yourself before you exhaust yourself? Regardless of my inability to understand, I agreed to wait while she burned off energy. I mean, either way, I felt incredibly lucky to be able to do that with her. It could wait. Once she returned to my room, she got mostly undressed, so she was on top. Once she returned to my room, she got mostly undressed, so she was left with only black underwear and a purple tank top. It was kind of funny, as the whole time she was still breathing heavily from running around outside. She went to rest on my twin bed, and I joined her. We went slowly the first time around. I listened to every concern she had, and we progressed at her pace. The 2 times after, it was a bit more intense, especially after we decided to go unprotected. We moved together. It was incredible being this close to someone I trusted. Now, when people talk about making love, they often warn people about the dangers of getting pregnant. Well, she's not on birth control or anything, so I guess we're both prepared for the long haul. I don't really care. If she got pregnant, I'd be proud. That's what I'm programmed to be, right? Pride and love are the strings of puppets. We can pretend they don't control us, but anyone who gives their life a serious look can see. We're not dancing because we choose to. The strings control us all. I'm such a fool, and I'm so foolish that it feels like a good thing. Chapter 7. Blood means nothing. Something pretty awful happened. For as long as I can remember, there's been a significant amount of stress and hostility between my father and I. Something had to break eventually, right? I'll try to use as much detail as I can, because I wasn't able to before, and it all should be written down. Last Friday, I was on my way to my redneck aunt's house. I was in the back seat of my dad's car with the oversized sack of potatoes he calls a girlfriend in the passenger seat. I wanted to spend the weekend with Ashley, but my dad's stupid Jabba the Hutt girlfriend wanted to go spend the weekend at my aunt's house. My dad, being the horrible father he is, prioritized the wishes of his girlfriend over me. His decision screwed over Ashley, too, the person I care about 100 times more than both my dad and his genital puppet combined. Obviously, I was pretty upset. So I'm stuck in this car, driving from my amazing girlfriend while the double-chinned idiot sitting in the passenger seat wears a smug grin painted across her face. She's so proud of feeling more important than a man's own offspring. Only a self-absorbed, stuck-up, wannabe princess troglodyte would take satisfaction in a man betraying his own children for a 1 out of 10 paper bag girlfriend like her. Why did I even have to go? Why was my father being such a whipped idiot? So I'm blasting my music on my headphones, and my father is smiling like a fool. He was no doubt off in some bizarre world, surrounded by his thoughts about how much better than everyone he is for having his religion, his don't eat chicken, but the chicken menstruation diet, and his ugly frog-like girlfriend. Sitting in the back seat, thinking about them, was burning me up inside. I had to do something to drown the thought of them out. And yes, to annoy them. I turned up my music to the maximum level. The very same music basically consisted of screaming about how my dad's God didn't exist and how stupid everyone who followed that God was. At some point, my dad asked me to turn down my music, but I ignored him. He asked again, and I ignored him. He clearly didn't know what to do. He kept looking at his walking pile of fat crotch puppet vagina with legs, as if he was worried she would judge him for whatever he did or didn't do in regards to my blasting music. I could see his girlfriend giving him, my father, concerned looks in response to my blaring music. He had to do something to establish he was still the alpha male in the car. God forbid the above. God forbid he rise above. As a desperate last resort, my father pulled off to the side of the road in front of a gas station and asked loudly and clearly, "What is your problem?" I had no filter or any concern for anyone's feelings in that car. So I replied, "It's your fat, ugly snob girlfriend that's always getting her way. That is my problem." I have never seen my father so violent. As his face turned red with rage, my father lunged at me, choking me. I said aloud in a distorted voice, "I can't breathe." He ignored me. I said again in an even more unstable and desperate voice, "I can't breathe." He again ignored me. I had little choice. My father was going to try to choke me till I passed out or died, because apparently he couldn't handle his abomination for a girlfriend being criticized without turning into an insane ape. I had to make a decision in that moment. It wasn't a hard one, as the path I took involved me being able to continue breathing. Fortunately, on that day, I was wearing my combat boots. So despite being pinned to the back seat, with both his hands being wrapped around my neck, I proceeded pushing him off me with my foot. For good measure, I followed that with anywhere from 9 to 17 kicks to his chest, neck, and head. It was amazing how hard the back of his body hit the dashboard. The whole car shook as my leg launched from the back seat towards the dash, repeatedly connecting with his helpless, oversized body. I could have kept kicking him, but my goal wasn't to break anything. Just get him away from me and ensure he stayed there. Quickly, after he was half knocked out on the dashboard, his girlfriend jumped out of the car, not knowing what to do. My father recovered as fast as he could and went to choke me yet again, only this time from the outside of the car, where he had no dashboard to collide against if I decided to fight back once more. His bloated freak girlfriend felt more comfortable approaching the backseat passenger door opposite of my father now that I was, again, being choked. Once she grabbed my ankles and proceeded to try taking off my boots, I wriggled my feet around to prevent her from making contact while saying, "You know, Dad, I would say I love Satan, but I don't believe in him." I felt ridiculous for saying that, but I knew he was obsessed with God and wanted to demonstrate that if I was dumb enough to believe in a magical being, it would be the one he feared most. His girlfriend continued to struggle with my wiggling feet as Dad responded, "Well, good!" Really, Father? Your son being willing to say, "I love Satan," if he actually believed in your religion, is legitimate as a well good situation? Really? I didn't realize it at the time, but blood was pouring from my dad's face from being kicked so many times. I only understood it later because I remembered he had to stop choking me at one point from the side of the car so he could go to the front and wipe his face on some napkins that were in the glove box. His girlfriend now had one of my boots untied, but because Dad was wiping his face in place of continuing to choke me, I took the opportunity to make a run for it. I sprinted to the other side of the gas station so they couldn't see me, but quickly stopped running once a key question surged to the forefront of my mind. Where am I gonna go? We had already driven so far away from anyone I knew. I had no money on me, and because of that, I felt no hope. It was this sudden realization that brought me to tears. I gave up. I sat on the closest curb and cried. After only a couple minutes, a patrol car approached me, and 2 police officers got out. I was so overwhelmed with adrenaline and emotion that I couldn't think clearly. All I could tell the cops was, "I thought he hit me." I didn't know all the time that the blood on my shirt was soaked in my father's blood. I didn't even fully know what had just happened. I was just an angry kid whose father never really wanted him to be himself. I had a father that raised his kid to fail. He never told me to be whatever I wanted. My father never told me to be true to myself. He only told me to be like him, and when I wasn't, in so many ways he just left me for dead. One of the 2 officers told me to stand up and turn around. He slipped the cuffs on me. As the cuffs were locking around my wrist, I cried, "Why are you arresting me? He hit me!" As I still wasn't even clear-minded enough to articulate the difference between hit and choke. The officers ignored me. How could they pay attention to anything I had to say? Choke marks don't show up as easily as someone's boot in your face. He was a broken and bleeding man. I was just the kid with blood on his shirt and a pair of boots. I was taken to juvenile hall. I spent the entire weekend there, as the judge only worked on weekdays. I sat in the cell, playing the event over and over again. Every other thing I said in the incident was a mistake. If only I could have clearly explained myself to the police officers. But my chemically distorted brain scrambled my thoughts and made me senseless. This may surprise most, but in that cell, I felt safe. I felt happier than I had in my own home. A prison cell felt far more welcoming than living 2 doors away from my father. I knew in that cell I didn't have to look at his obnoxious girlfriend or see his disappointed face. I really did. All I really did through my time in juvenile hall was push-ups, play cards with the other inmates, and smile. My father was there to get me out the Monday that followed. He had a black eye, and his entire eyeball itself was red. I must have busted the eyeball itself. Good. The judge let me walk because I guess my father didn't press charges. I mentioned my father attacked me first to multiple people, but no one really cared. They only cared what he had to say. I was just the property of my father to them. Legal slaves, that's all the government treats kids like. And you wonder why I hate you people. When I got home, I quickly realized that my father had accessed my computer while I was locked up. The last date opened data on my journal files showed he had in fact looked at everything I had said up to this point. He knew everything I wrote. Who cares, right? It's like I said, I'm a legal slave to him, just like every other kid is to their parents. We don't have rights. We're just like property. I even confronted my father about it. Dad, can you come in here? I yelled down the hall. He came to my room and said in his normal Ned Flanders-like tone, "What's up, Arthur?" I looked at him with a blank face and asks, "Did you access my computer?" It didn't take more than a second for my father to decide to blatantly lie to me. He said, "No, I didn't." I had no patience. I screamed at him, "I know! You looked at my files, Dad!" I looked him right in the eyes and watched him continue to lie to me. It took me showing him the dates he accessed my computer on the screen itself for him to admit he accessed it. I had never felt less respect for him than in that moment. Him reading my journal meant he knew more than he ever deserved. And you know what he did with that info? Nothing. He didn't change. He didn't try to be there for me or to turn me around. All my father did was leave me alone in my room after I proved him a liar. We haven't spoken about anything meaningful since. Where's your self-righteousness now? Where's your self-righteousness now, Dad? Where's your invisible friend to save the day? Your family is falling apart. Your girlfriend remains a freakish bullfrog creature, and you're just still another carbon copy simpleton, occupying yet another carbon copy home on a carbon copy street in a carbon copy town. Are you still praying for me, Father? Because things keep getting worse. Maybe you aren't praying hard enough? That was chapter 7 of This Is Why I Hate You. I have a ridiculous feeling like somehow Greg was trying to assemble some sort of like children mafia, maybe, or like a super army of children. You know, get them all pissed off about their rights and shit. Tell them their parents are mean to them and then fucking attack. But we can talk about that another time. This has been Dr. Piece Theater, and my name is Dr. Dennis Business. And as always, my new friends.